Okay, amazing. Welcome back, ladies. Woo! All right, we are going to be covering chapter 8, the resource organizer technique. And before we get started on that, Miss Jody, do you have any questions or anything that's come up in the last week that we can address now?
Nope. No questions. Thank you, though.
Have you been practicing and using these techniques on yourself or your loved ones or your clients?
No, not right now.
Okay, this is
I've
probably
been
good.
practicing promo for my book. That's what I've
Oh, dude, totally, totally. Yes, I support that. I love that. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Hey, thanks for waiting.
Oh, hey, Maria, welcome.
Thanks for waiting.
Yeah.
I'm multitasking, so I might have to jump in and out.
Okay. So did you have any questions or anything that's come up in the last week?
Nope. I'm good, thanks. I don't have any questions.
Okay. Cool. So we shall get started, ladies. We are on chapter 8, resource organizer. So a couple of weeks ago, when we learned about the power of the past, you learned a method of putting the past behind you in order to forgive, forget, and to move on. Now, the resource organizer technique, on the other hand, is designed to use the power of the past to your own advantage, because that's exactly what everyone's past is: powerful. You can imagine what your life would be like. I'm just gonna, do you mind muting, Maria, because there's lots of.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Okay, awesome. Okay, so yeah, if we didn't have a past at all, although sometimes that seems like, yeah, right. There are some things worth forgetting. And this is why this technique is so amazing, because it helps you bring forward the things that you want to remember and organize appropriately the things that we don't really need as a benefit in our life right now today. So obviously, if you didn't have any memory, your mind would have to start from scratch every morning. You'd have to create a new you. There's actually that movie for 51st Dates or 41st Dates or something like that, where the girl gets in the car accident. He falls in love with her, they meet or whatever. And on her way home, she gets in a car accident and can't remember anything other than that day, And so he ends up having to meet her new every single day. And it's they fall in love. It's really cute. But it's also kind of sad, right? Every single day, they end up getting married and having kids, but every day she wakes up and doesn't remember him, and he has to get her to fall in love with him all over again. It's really, really interesting. It's a cute movie. So you have to create your new you have to create new attitudes, new beliefs. At first glance, this might seem appealing to awaken every morning with your past blunders forgotten, but I assure you it'd be far more harmful than beneficial. What if one morning you forgot all your morals when some jerk on the freeway cuts you off? Besides, the mind doesn't store events as they actually happened. Our memories store events based upon our perception at the time. Thus, we all change, delete, and distort our past. You will recall our two eyewitnesses to a single event with entirely different stories. And if you have siblings, you know exactly what we're talking about here. These changes are distortions, were probably not intentional, but nonetheless, we are all guilty of this phenomenon. The distortions occur because our values and perceptions play a big part in the way that we store information. It is not the purpose of this technique to change anyone's value system, which is key to an individual personality. The idea is to bring about a subtle shifting of perception over time as the appropriate behaviors bring about successful outcomes. Now, using the resource organizer, the client will review the information of the past and organize it, then refile it in a more appropriate way, thus bringing about the desired outcome. So I was listening to a very long ad from the guy who does Mind Valley, and he was talking about just parts of his experience and how Mind Valley even came about, and him learning about Silva mind control, which is one of the techniques, not one of the techniques, it's one of the philosophies that Dr. Porter incorporates into here. So if you are familiar with Mind Valley or Silva Mind Control, this is part of it. So the way in which he was talking about storing and organizing and replaying his life the way that he wanted it to get the openness to download the information of like what the next right step is. Like we're all playing in the same field here. So this is just another way of coming about the same thing that we all do naturally and that all of the healers and teachers are talking about. So it's just cool to have like another side of the mountain go, oh yeah, I see from this vantage point, from this perspective, how this can be helpful. So using the resource organizer, the client will review the information of the past. Okay, we already said that. The past becomes beneficial by virtue of thinking of it in a positive way. As an example, people become positively motivated once the memories of the past are stored in color with movement and sound. So what happens then if a negative time is stored in Technicolor and Dolby Sound? The mind is positively motivated to bring about the same events and experiences, which is ultimately negative. I really want to highlight a phrase right here that he uses, positively motivated. You know, a lot of women that come to me, because I work in, health and weight loss and stuff, and they say, I just don't have motivation. I don't have motivation. And an interesting question to ask them is like, well, you do have motivation. It's just not pointed in the direction that you want it to be necessarily. So what are you motivated to do? And that is a really different way of thinking about how our mind works and how to actually get what it is that we want. Because it can often feel like we don't have whatever the tool is or whatever the thing is, whether it's motivation or willpower or stick-to-itiveness or whatever the heck it is, that we don't have whatever that is. And if we somehow were able to get it, but we don't really believe that we deserve it. And it's this whole rigmarole of drama, when really we all have everything that we need to be successful, healthy, vibrant, alive, abundant. So that's a little bit of a different perspective, a different foundation, and then it becomes a lot easier to move the needle in the direction that we want it to go instead of trying to find a needle in a haystack. In my experience, people who are happy-go-lucky types store negative memories in black and white or behind them so far gone that they can't recall them at all. They remember good times in color, surrounding themselves with the emotions of that experience and with loving, positive sounds. If the information of the past is stored appropriately, the good times bright and alive, the negative events stored out of reach, then only the positive times will be brought up in future situations, resulting in higher quality decisions and a better overall state of mind. Now, oftentimes, and I got this from him, but oftentimes what I'll remember to say to people is that, because it can be scary. It's like, well, what if I need that? What if I need that at some point? Right? What if I need that determination or that fear and safety and whatever the thing is? So I often, if people, you know what I mean, you can kind of tell sometimes if they like are holding on to something or they don't really believe yet that it can not affect them the way that it does, or they are afraid, like if they don't have that safety mechanism that like they're going to be unsafe in the world. I allow them to just place it behind them still, like with no sound and color and however like much they're willing to do that, but place it behind them on a shelf. They know exactly where it is if they need it again. All right, that's a really beautiful and powerful way. Again, giving them some choice in the matter is always really important. So once I worked with a client for alcohol addiction, he was a salesman named Ken. Ken had an exemplary career, but something had drastically changed in the last year. Ken's sales had dropped off tremendously. Now Ken sat before me, his head and shoulders slumped forward, his hands ringing, as he described his problem. A year earlier, Ken had experienced several successive failures, which were clouding his thinking. His usual motivation and determination were lost to him. Clearly, a whole new cycle had taken over. Ken developed a new pattern that involved getting up in the morning, methodically going through the motions, plotting out his day's activities, and as soon as he would receive a few no responses, he would discontinue his efforts, procrastinate, and get himself a drink, and swear that tomorrow would be better. He was swiftly progressing from a comfortable rut into a very uncomfortable one, as pressure from his supervisor began to ensue, and the effects of the alcohol began to take its toll. Now, once Ken was in a relaxed state, I had him go back and review his memories of the past. By this point, Ken was incapable of accessing a positive and motivated feeling of success. Before Ken went on a sales call, I hope you ladies have your water. Always so important. Before he went on a sales call, he had already seen himself failing. The failure syndrome was playing continuously in his mind, and all he had to do was play it out. Lord knows that I have done that a million times with various substances, stuck in that frustration rut, but not being able to get out of it, or even emotions, right? Even the emotional kind of hangover of yesterday. Sometimes if you're not able, willing, or have the skill to cleanse out and let that stuff go and go, be refreshed and renewed each day. Sometimes we can just drag on and get into a rut. Now, I point out to Ken that his customers were probably quick in picking up his unconscious cues and nonverbal communication, and that although he was unaware of it, he was probably selling a no response. Ken completely lost track of what he had always known. There are people out there who need his product and who want to buy it from him. He had always known that sales was a numbers game. He simply needed to knock on enough doors to get enough no responses to finally get the yes. Ken knew that in sales, no means yes. He had forgotten how to look at the no's from this perspective. Ken was now looking at those no's as a colossal wall that would require a great deal of effort to climb. Soon the walls were so vast and Ken was so tired that he didn't even notice when the yes response was within reach. I can definitely relate to that. The first thing that Ken needed was to change the way that he was accessing information. I had Ken store every no behind him as if it were money that he was placing into his back pocket. Such a good visual, especially with the sales, right? Where it's like, okay, I got it, boom. And ultimately taking him one step closer to a yes. I then took him through the process of mentally getting to yes. I pointed out to Ken that what the mind views as mental practice and what is actually done physically are stored together within the other than conscious mind. So that's a really good thing to remember as well, that memories, whether they actually happened or we just kind of imagined them and thought about them, are stored in the same place in the mind. Now, of course, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but as a general gist, that's the power of creativity. That's the power of our mind to create experiences for ourselves. And that belief, as we begin to repeat those thoughts over and over, because a belief is just a thought that we thought over and over and over and over and over and over and over, looked out into the world, saw some evidence to support that, reinforced it, thought it over and over and over, boom, it becomes a belief. So if that is how beliefs are stored, if beliefs are how we get that motivation to move in the direction that we want to go without all the resistance, then it's going to have to start in the mind and the way that we think about things. Now, if each time that Ken received a no response, he mentally experienced 3 or 4 yes responses, his attitude would change. The mind will take the median between the two and give him at least a neutral and positive attitude going into the next sale. Now, although some people are simply not cut out for sales career, Ken was, in fact, a superior salesperson. He had simply fallen into a rut of self-doubt through repetitive practice and an anchor, right? So the anchor was the alcohol, which he set mentally through his day-to-day activities. First, by falling into a dull routine, and then by failing to set goals and accomplish them. Now, as Ken began to review the memories of his past, I had him examine that year of his life from his internal timeline and reorganize it. Ken could now begin to view this time of his life as a learning experience. He had experienced a year where he learned to fail, and he did it really well. In fact, he did it so well that he would never have to repeat it again. That was actually one of the things that Dr. Porter taught me when I was first learning hypnosis. I was like, I don't think I can do this. I don't understand this. And he was like, well, anything worth doing great is worth doing terrible at first. And I was like, that's deep, man. That's deep. Okay, so at the completion of Ken's session, he was able to go back to his career with the same attitude and enthusiasm that had brought him renowned success in his early years of sales. Now, with Ken's repeated practice of reorganizing his thoughts, he found himself on top of things once again, this time with an ace up his sleeve, because he was now trained to use his other than conscious mind to set up and accomplish goals. Ken was once again getting a high from success and therefore no longer needed or wanted alcohol. Now, as you read through the following technique to building a powerful past, remember that your past brought you to who you are today. So honor each and every experience, person, statement, dialogue, feeling that occurs within your mind. You can feel free to change anything to enhance the quality of your present day experience, because the past is only a memory stored unconsciously on the tapes of the mind. Only in the present moment can you take action to accomplish your goals. Now, there is no power in blaming others for where you are or what you are going through. The power lies in taking action and changing what you can. If you continue to think what you have always thought, you will continue to get what you have always got. The resource organizer builds new thoughts about the past, which in turn create new opportunities in the future. Amazing. Okay, it totally reminds me. So yesterday I was talking with my mom, and she asked me, because my sister has not spoken to my mom in like, I don't know, she's maybe called once after her husband died a couple years ago, and then ended up yelling at her and telling her she was an awful mother. But she doesn't call, she stays away, she doesn't talk to any of us. And my mom was like sad about that. And we were talking yesterday, and she was like, well, how did you get over your anger at me? Like, you were really angry with me for a long time too. Like, what did you do? And obviously there was a lot of things, but what I was telling her, I was like, well, one of the things that was really important for me to do is to forgive myself, right? For all the years of holding on to that, and all the decisions that I made, and all the feelings that I had, and all the frustration. I mean, not just forgiving my mom, but also forgiving myself, which is part of this process here, this technique that we're talking about. It's like organizing my memories and my thoughts and my feelings and the way that I think about my childhood in a different way that includes forgiveness for her, for myself, for the situation. And so all of us do this in various ways. And that's what I love about the resource organizer. It really is like, you have so many resources. Let's organize them appropriately. Like, you're not broken, you're not crazy, you're not stupid, you're not lazy, you're not, like all these judgments that we have of ourselves, like somehow there's something wrong. That is not accurate. It's just sometimes things are just a little bit jumbled together, right? It's like you go into your kitchen, you're like, I know everything's there, but like it's a mess, right? So it's just about coming in, putting things where they belong, where it's going to be easy to access later, cleaning it up, storing it appropriately. And then the next time that we go in, it's like, now it's fun to cook. Okay, so I think that Miss Jody, I think that you mentioned that you're just kind of chilling in bed, so we'll give you an opportunity to just receive today, if you don't mind. Miss Maria, how are you feeling? Do you want to take us through the technique, or?
Yeah, I'll take the technique.
I think it does do a yes and no, so I'll move the camera so that you can see my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it talks a little bit about an anchor. So you can do that in any way that you want to. If you want me to, I can do something like, put my, finger over my other finger like this, or, thumb on the thumb, You know what I mean? I can do some kind of tactile anchor like that. That's fine. Or whatever comes into your mind as inspiration at the time.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, as far as anchoring, just anchor yourself by moving your index finger and touching the back of your palm or thumb. Just touch yourself
Cool.
on your hand.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, give me a second here for some water. It's resource organizer, right? Cool.
Organizer. Yes, yes.
On page 138, 136, correct? Chapter resource organizer technique 132, chapter 8 in our book. And then there's a script that says resource organizer technique. All right. Here we go. Okay, just relax by closing your eyes. Take in a deep breath and let yourself go. As I speak to your other than conscious mind, I would like your conscious mind to use the right index finger to say yes and the left index finger to say no. Thank you. You can relax and go deeper. Just give me a yes response. Thank you. And feel yourself going deeper and deeper so you know, and I know, that you will learn to organize your thoughts in a useful way. Just give me a no response. Excellent. Notice how your body's relaxation and the level of the relaxation is becoming deeper and deeper as you become aware of the relaxation that is coming your way. You may feel very light or very heavy, whatever you feel. It's normal and natural for you. Just let yourself go now. And from here, I want you to journey back in time, back to a positive and wonderful event. I'm going to count from 3 down to 1. And at the count of 1, you will be at a wonderful event in your mind. 3, feeling yourself journey back through time. 2, let yourself go. And 1, be there now. Imagine you seeing what you could be seeing, hearing what you could be hearing, and step into that experience. Be there now. And when you have that, give me a yes response. Excellent. Go ahead and apply the anchor by touching the back of your hand with your thumb. Excellent. Fill yourself up with this wonderful feeling, like an empty glass container. With full, wonderful feelings, I want you to move through time and just relax. And imagine yourself moving through the memories of your past. Become aware of the good times of your life. And then stop and take a moment to enjoy. And as you do this, you can make it into your favorite color, bright and brilliant in your mind. You can also put love and emotions into each and every experience, feeling free to put it even more love than you remember. Place your favorite music into the background, just as if you are a Hollywood producer, playing one of your favorite soundtracks of your life. And if an unhappy and negative memory comes to your mind, you can simply just take a snapshot of it as if you're taking a picture and it's a black and white camera. And that picture stops all the color and also stops all the sounds, any noise, any words, including emotions, dissipating as you now let it go. And you place each and every item each and every item, each and every image and feelings behind you. One by one, placing all the negative experiences in a snapshot in your mind in black and white. All the colors out, and all the emotions too are out too. One by one, all the negative experiences of your past, place it behind you. And when you have done this, with all the memories that are present in your mind, just give me a yes response. Placing all the negative memories in a black and white photo, and any emotions, one by one, place all the negative experiences in your past behind you. And once you've done this, with all the memories of the past within your mind today, just give me a yes response so that I know. Using your right index finger as a yes response. Great, you're doing excellent. And go deeper and deeper inside. Now that you have been through this process once, you can easily go through it again. This time I want you to let me know when you are at an earlier and unhappy negative experience that you remember today. And just give me a yes response. A memory as current as maybe today, let me know when you have that negative experience, or yesterday, or sometime this week. Just give me a yes response so that I know. Excellent. Now place a large picture frame around this negative time, like one you would see in a museum. When you have this, let me know by responding yes. Great. The picture at this time should be black and white. If not, just simply imagine taking all the color out and it's changing into a black and white photo. In fact, from here, the picture becomes so light, so bright, that the images are simply fading away and they're gone. You know that you have an experience in your past, but it is no longer within view. In fact, I want you to write on the back of the canvas or the picture whatever you have learned from this experience. That's right. I want you to imagine that you learned something positive from this experience of the past, no matter how terrible it may have been and may have seen in your past. It is now and into your future as a positive learning experience from this day on. It will help you to avoid getting into a similar or worse situation in the future. When you have completed this episode, move through the next experience, recalling each positive experience. Take a moment and enjoy each and every positive experience that comes to you. Now, if while doing this and if any negative experience comes up from you, you know exactly what you need to do, what you want to do. Simply take a snapshot in black and white, taking all the color out until it becomes black and white, and put it behind you, placing it behind you. You will deal with these negative emotions with the other and conscious mind. It's easy and automatic. And once you have received all these memories in use in a productive way, you can once again be back in the room and give me a yes response. Now, if you hear anything, any noise, it just simply helps you to go deeper and deeper into relaxation. Taking a deep breath. Once you have all this memories in use, more productive, in a productive way, you once could come back into the room when you feel comfortable. Just give me a yes response. Thank you. Now, each and every time that you use the resource organizer technique, you will find it more and more difficult to find a negative experience. They are stored differently now. They are stored as a learning experience. You know the truth. The past is a series of lessons, and those negative experiences never need to repeat themselves again. You are focusing on a positive, loving memories. And that's simply as easy as your breathing. It's simple and it's automatic that you simply remember to focus on the positive, loving memories of the past, as well as in the future. Begin asking yourself, how are these positive feelings going to benefit me in the future? Begin to see what you need to see and hear what you need to hear and experience what you need to experience in the future. All the positive changes that are going to occur for you in the next day. And that next day becomes weeks, and those weeks becomes months, and then those months simply become years. And notice the benefits of change, the benefits of changing the past. Take a time and review this process today. And each time you find yourself thinking of the past, you will remember that you can organize the past. It's easy, natural, and automatic. You can and you will organize the past as a resource. You will discover the hidden lessons in each and every experience, allowing yourself to grow wiser and smarter each and every passing day. I say to you now, negative thoughts, concepts, and beliefs will have no control over you at any time and any level, at any level of your mind, at this and any other levels of consciousness. It is time now to take a mental vacation. You can go wherever you like to go. Experience whatever you like to experience. And anything that you want to enjoy. Taking a deep breath, going deeper and deeper into relaxation. Going into your mental vacation. Seeing what you need to see, hear what you need to hear, and experience whatever you want to experience. Just simply let go and enjoy. And then go ahead and anchor yourself and fill your body up from head to toe with that mental vacation. You could even imagine it in a color that you like. From the top of your head, flowing down to your shoulders, down your arms, from your torso to your thighs, down to the very bottom of your feet. And when you hear my voice again, an hour of hypnosis will feel like just a minute. But you will wake up refreshed, feeling positive and confident, feeling powerful, and knowing that you have choices, feeling peace and having fun, and letting go of the past, and maybe even forgiving. And as you go deeper and deeper, knowing that each and every time that you have practiced using this powerful technique of psycholinguistics, you will go deeper and deeper, gaining more wisdom, gaining more benefits of organizing the past. Only now, as slowly as you're willing to live a powerful, positive state of consciousness, do I want you to return back into the room, knowing that all you need to do is to think about the past, and you instantly and automatically, just like you're breathing, will go through the process and make all the changes that will empower you and enhance your life experience today, in the moment of now. Changing the way that you store the memories of the past. And from this day forward, you are building a bright and compelling future. Take all the time you need to return back into the room. The seconds will feel like hours, and hours will feel like days, and days will feel like weeks. Take all the time you need to convince yourself and your subconscious mind that changes have been made and will occur before you open your eyes. And this is so. Go ahead and open your eyes and return safely back into the room to your bright and compelling future. That was fun.
Water. Oh, I know, with the phone ringing. I know it was perfect. It was perfect.
It always happens. It always happens.
It always happens. It always happens.
It's not going to change. Life just goes on.
That is so, so true. Oh, thank you, Miss Maria.
Oh, you're welcome. It was so much fun to do that. I really enjoyed it.
Future. Yeah. So again, as a reminder, I typically don't, like, when I'm with a client, like, talk to them about the session. Like, it's, it's a whole lot to kind of just like process and come back and down and around from. I will just remind all of us who are in the healing arts that water is really important anytime you do like any kind of energy work, and then also space and time. Right. So getting up right away and going and getting in the car and driving somewhere, it's okay to take a couple minutes. You might not want to, like, get into the conscious part of the mind trying to understand everything that just happened. I mean, unless they, whatever, really want to, but just kind of letting it all sink in, getting some water and having a couple minutes to come back up into wide awake, alert consciousness. It's a different brainwave pattern that we need for functioning in the world than when we're going in and doing some deep work. So yeah, that was really beautiful and great. Towards the end, I started to get this like really interesting feeling, like right in this space here. And I'm excited to explore that more at a time when I have a little bit more space and time. It felt like good, like intense, like kind of like a little bit of pressure, but also like inspiring. So that was really, really nice.
Yeah. I was trying to use some of the words that you were saying. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. So after we kind of just go through the basics of each technique, I would like to, and there's a couple more. Let's see. It's probably a good thing. Okay, so compelling future. Oh, no, we already did that. We did that last week. Okay, so resource generator. That one's good. Unlimited reality. Ooh, that one's fun. So we got 1, 2, quantum fusion, even better. 1, 2, 3. Mind link, 4. Theater of the mind. Oh, swish pattern. I think that one we really need to be in person to do that one. Yeah, so it looks like, and then glove anesthesia, that one needs to be in person too. So these are some good resources. So it looks like we've got like 4 or 5 techniques left to go through. And I think it would be really great for one of us to begin asking the questions, the outcome questions. So being a little bit more specific to whoever is receiving of like what it is that they want to get from this session. Because the overall general technique, always good, always a good idea. We can keep it super general, but sometimes just like you were saying that you intuitively did, getting a little bit more specific to, you know, the individual, it makes it that much more powerful and helpful. So
Yeah, that's so I was getting a little creative, and I remember some of the words you were saying when you were talking to me. You said fun, you said compelling future, and forgiveness. So I said, okay, I'm just going to throw those in there. And also the in reading the script, if you use the script and you get familiar with it, which I was, it came back to me where I needed to pause and give you time. And also the there was something that I held back for a while, and then I came back because it was a time. So it's really easy to just be a minion and read it, but to actually understand what you're reading and give it time. And that's what I caught. It's like, okay, I'm just reading. I don't want to read. I really want to be connected to you. And I really want to be connected to what I'm saying. And so it could be very impactful. And so I saw that. And I'm like, okay, take a deep breath, Maria. Even though the phone kind of threw me off a little bit. And I was like, okay, take a deep breath. It's just things like that happen, which I'm not afraid of, but it does, you know, the energy that I was feeling was like, whoo, calm down. And then, yeah, so it's really cool. Once you get down the technique, you'll understand when to wait. And then, like you said, impact words. And I threw those in there for you.
Yeah, appreciate that. Another thing that can be super helpful is, and this is like, I mean, I guess when you're doing it online, I mean, I've done it to where like I had the person, you know, take the camera back a little bit so that I could see them and their hands.
Yeah.
You know, so I could kind of see their body movements, what was going on, you know, with their face, and then also their breathing. That can be really powerful to pace yourself with their breathing. So breathe in when they breathe in, and then speak as they breathe out. And then
that's really powerful.
And breathe in with them while they breathe in, and then speak when they go out. That's like a really good way to kind of cadence yourself with their process of relaxing.
Yeah, it's very important, getting that connection, rapport, including the breathing and watching their nonverbal, their body making nonverbal statements. And then the anchoring was cool. That was cool. That was really cool. And I had to wait because I had to wait until you gave me the yes response. And so I just repeated myself.
Right. Well, I had several things. So I was working, man. I was working. I was fading it. I was black and white, you know, placing it behind me. Then another one would come up, and I was like, okay, gotta freeze it, fade it, place it behind me.
Yeah. So I had to wait, and I kept looking. I'm like, did I miss it? Did I miss the cue? And I just repeated. I said, no, I think she's just really working it. And then I'm like, okay, there it is. Including the anchor. You're really quick on that anchor with using the thumb. I'm like, oh, she used her thumb instead of her finger. That's cool. So the anchor is really powerful too. I love that anchor. Even though, you know, we were trained that, you know, for us to anchor them, but because of social distancing and sometimes over the phone, you can anchor yourself. And that's what I did when I was doing my own hypnosis. I'm like, where's Rose to anchor me? Where's Dr. Oh, they're not here. Dr. Porter's not here. I could do it myself. Ta-da! And I just anchored myself.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, even Porter's, he was talking about that story with Ken, the salesman, that he, you know, he was saying that he anchored himself with these thoughts and these behaviors. Right. Yes. So an anchor is just something that, you know, that connects one thing to the next. And it kind of feels like it's like pulled together. It's anchored together. So you can do that with a variety of different things. different ways.
Yeah, it's very powerful. I mean, once I started understanding that the anchoring is really powerful, and saw the anchoring in my life, like spanking is an anchoring, and you associate that with discipline, uh, pain, and then it's something that you're familiar with. So when someone else hits you, you're like, oh yeah, this is normal.
Mm.
So so I was like, wow, all this time I was being anchored, I didn't know. Now I can de-anchor myself, by placing it behind me and, anchor a positive anchor instead of a spanking, being, putting that behind me and not allowing that to happen again.
That's a really interesting point. I remember Dr. Porter talking about him and Cynthia, because he's like known this stuff since he was a kid, right? I mean,
Yes.
his dad and all of his brothers and sisters, like they all have studied Silva mind control and hypnosis and NLP and all the stuff. He was saying that when she is upset with him, like sometimes like the natural tendency is to go and touch the person and hug them. And he was like, I never do that. He's like, I don't want to anchor that feeling to me.
That's really, since he told me that, I'm very aware.
Me too.
When somebody is feeling something negative, not to touch them. And their perspective may be like, oh, she's being an asshole because she's not hugging me and I really need a hug. No, I'm just trying to give you your space and not anchor you, so this memory won't be anchored
Yeah.
so deep with feelings. So sometimes I have to them.
Right. But like the feeling
And me too.
To you, if you.
Me too.
Right.
So I'm like, but if you think about it, normally if
Both
somebody's
ways,
like feeling, it's normal, our society, the norm is, if someone's hurting and crying, to touch them. Man, I'm so sorry this is happening to you, or hug them. Oh my God, I just want to comfort you. And I sometimes I do that, and sometimes I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not going to anchor them, and they may think I'm a jerk, but I'm going to anchor them when they're feeling better.
Yeah, I think it made sense to ask, you know what I mean? Like, do you want or need a hug? Like I think that's different.
Yeah, but still subconsciously you don't know. So but I do like to ask, like, do you want me to hear? Do you want me to be, do you want me just to listen and respond? Or do you just need a hug? In today's society, you have to ask them if it's okay to hug or even touch them. So, to some people, me, I'm like, you hug me.
Literally,
yeah, I'm cool with that.
Now, yeah.
If you bump into me, I'm not gonna be offended. But but some people, like, you just got to know them and build the rapport. I don't know, but I'm more aware of that anchor, and I think it's really good information to just know.
Yeah.
And I like to anchor somebody when they're feeling better.
Amen. So many interesting things about the mind and body and life and people. It's really fun. So Miss Jody, do you have any questions or you gave some good feedback here for Maria in the chat. Appreciate that. She says you handled that like a pro. Well done. Super calming and peaceful. Thank you, Maria. Very nice.
Yeah, I have a question about what the discussion that just happened about anchoring in negative feelings. What if when you give somebody a hug, you're actually anchoring in a positive feeling because they're receiving love and compassion?
That's true. I think it's, I'm sorry. I think it just depends on the interpretation of that person. It's just it's subconsciously and consciously. It's just all about the people's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's something we cannot control.
Right. And their ability to receive. I mean, just because you're given it doesn't mean that it's going anywhere. I mean, that's actually one of those things. And I know both of you know this, but it's good to remember. It's like, sending good vibes or good love to anyone is nice as an intention. And it also is important that we say, if they want it. Right? Like if it's received well, if they want it, if they're open to that, I would love to give some of my heartfelt love and compassion and care and healing energy if they want it. If not, cool, go to somebody else who wants it. but also having that respect of other people's right to have whatever, energetic space that they want to have.
Do you
Yeah,
think
and
that
it's a really good awareness of allowing that person, maybe they don't want to get rid of that past memory, and maybe they like that pain. I don't know, but thank you for the reminder of it's really up to them. And our intention is we want to help, but they have to want it more than we do.
but I think that's, Maria, where can I touch you? Would you like a hug? I think that's kind of where that comes in. If they're open and receptive to it, then of course they would say yes. I don't personally, when I see somebody, I say in their process of processing, I don't touch them because it tends to take them out of their process. And I know that they'll get a bigger gain if they're able to process through it. But if I see somebody that's really just kind of collapsing, I just go by intuitively. If I feel called, I'll go up and say, can I touch you? Would you like a hug? Like I guess for me, I can kind of tell if somebody really needs that touch or if somebody is just kind of processing through it. But it kind of goes back to that, like asking. And in terms of like sending energy over distance, I was just wondering, so Rose, you were saying like you don't want to impede upon their will for themselves, I guess I would say, which I agree with. Do you think that they would receive the energy if it wasn't their will to receive it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're saying that even having the intention of it going to them, and if they're not receptive to it, to somebody else who wants it, that's kind of redundant, that it's not necessary, because if you're sending it out, it's going to go where it's most needed or wanted anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they're not on the frequency of that, then would they even?
I hear what you're saying. I mean, like in Reiki as well, like part of the teaching is, even though like people come to you, like they either are paying you or it's a free session, like they know they're coming to get healing and to like receive Reiki, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the way that it was shared with me is that even though there is that, kind of spoken, unspoken awareness and agreement, like as they're laying on the table or sitting down or whatever, it is always like, are you open to receiving this? Are you ready to receive this? Do you want to receive this right now?
Mm-hmm.
And that conscious, unconscious moment where they actually say yes is kind of a powerful moment. Is it necessary? No, I don't think so. I think that you can, in good conscience, send good vibes to anyone that you want to. And I think for our own self as well, it can be really powerful just to realize that just because we think it's right for someone, that's not always true.
Yeah, that's the other piece that as you were talking, that I was like, and it also depends on your intention. So if your intention is just that they're going to receive whatever is in their greatest and highest good, which could be absolutely nothing, versus I'm going to heal this person, I really want him to get better, when that might not be their higher will for themselves. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's an interesting discussion.
Yeah, even though it's really, to me, I'm like, I don't understand it, but it's human. It's human, and it's scary to let go of something that you become comfortably numb. And it's a learning process of, this is pain, and this is uncomfortable, and this is what feeling good is, and they haven't felt good for a long time, that they don't recognize that they're in pain.
Mm-hmm.
It's a learning process. It's a healing process, and I would like people to learn like yesterday, like me. I mean, even myself, I want to learn like yesterday, but we're human and we have to go through this process. So I have to just bring it down a notch, Maria, and take a deep breath and allow people to learn on their level.
Beautiful.
It's
Thank
easier said than done, because we're all mommy bears.
Very true. All right.
What I mean?
A great session, ladies. Thank you both for showing up. That was wonderful. I hope you got everything you ever wanted from this 1 hour, and I will see you next week. Same time, same place.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.